Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is your man, the Leather Cowboy, R.D. Muhammad, in the Dirty. You guys already know where I am, where I reside, and where I lay my head. Hey, listen, I was sitting here working on a project, finishing up this custom leather dog harness. You guys already saw that video. Just finishing up. I was dyeing the straps. And I got to the part to where on the edges. And I couldn't remember right off the top of my head if I had ever done a video about these three products that can enhance your leather projects. Now, I'm not sure, but and then I know that there's been a big debate amongst leather crafters for years, and I want you guys to understand this and hear me well. There's been a big debate amongst leather crafters for years. Now, you guys also know that I'm an old school crafter. I like to keep it old school and like to preserve the trueness of the craft. So let me tell you about where we're going with this. Gum trag, I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me block the light from this. Gum trag, burnishing ink, and a good old ball, a big old wad of wax. All right, now, and this is where I'm going with this video, because you can spend a lot of money. Now, gum trag is something that has been around for a little while now. But the EcoFlow brand is one that's just recently, it's the new kid on the block. So anytime you see that white label that says EcoFlow gum trag, now gum trag is a burnishing agent. Primarily, a lot of us in the leather crafting business, we use these different products to slick the edges of our products. So if you're doing belts, gun holsters, knife sheaths, dog harnesses is what I'm working on today. Anything where you are going to merge or marry, let me show you this. Anywhere where you're going to marry two pieces of leather or the liner, where you're going to marry them together and you're going to be gluing and stitching and sewing these, then some crafters will use gum trag, and then they will slick that edge down, and then you will take your edge slicker, and then you will burnish that. And what the gum trag does, it bonds and marries these two pieces together where you don't see that seam in there. But wait, there's more. Burnishing ink does the exact same thing, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason why I like burnishing ink is because it comes in colors. So if it's brown, black, I don't think it comes in any other color other than brown or black. But if the majority of your projects, especially when you're mass producing projects like gun holsters, knife sheaths, they're going to be brown or black or some derivative of thereof, to where you can use a brown edge or a black edge. So even if you're using like a soft brown in the leather piece itself, you can still edge slick that down with the burnishing ink in a dark brown, and it still all bonds and marries together. But wait, there's more. Old school crafters have always used an good old, I won't say ball of wax, but a little piece of wax. Now, from my understanding and from my research, the original old school crafters used wax before the invention of a burnishing ink or a gum trag was even come out. We used to just take the wax, and then you would just take your regular lighter or a flame or something just to heat the wax up a little bit to where it's, and you guys can see that I've been really using this. And when I tell you I'm an old school crafter, I'm an old school crafter. So we would take this little lighter, and I would just heat it up just enough to get it to be soft, and I would run this along the edges of my projects. Now, that also, ladies and gentlemen, the wax starts to bond and marry the two pieces together, And then you will come back with your edge slicker. The friction will then therefore, the back and forth friction will then therefore heat that wax up, and it will also just make one unified piece to where you will not see the two seams come together. Now, what makes those crafters work look so, and it's so amazing, because a good edge finishing sets your work apart from every other crafter that's out there. But again, like I said earlier at the top of this video, the big argument has been, which one do we use? Now, it's all Ford and Chevrolet to me, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to let you know what you can get into before you get off into it. Now, you guys have been following me long enough to know that my motto is minimize your spending on the front end to maximize your profits on the back end. Now, you can go to your good old Wally World and get an old votive candle, and you can just get a plain neutral color. Don't do a blue candle or a red candle or any of that. I mean, you can get those variety colors if you are working in those variety different dyes, if you want to dye your project that color. So that way, a blue candle on a blue piece, it will all come out to a blue edge. But now, let me give you the real skinny. Now, well, let me stop because I'm going into the weeds. Before I go into the weeds, you can use a good old just neutral color of wax. And that wax, again, take your little heat, just to heat it up just a little bit to get it soft. You don't want it to melt and drip, because that's what your edge slicker is for. Your edge slicker is going to melt and bond that seam, and to do that very well. Now let me get ready to go. I'm going to drop you this a little bit. If you're going to use wax, you still want to dye and finish the edges of your piece. I got butterfingers today, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what that is. I'm dropping everything. But if you're going to use the wax, which is very economical, it's very cheap, because when you dye your pieces, all you do is take your dauber and run that along that edge coating, and it's going to dye it black. Now you come back with your wax or your votive candle, and you're going to coat this down the side. It's still going to be black, because the friction from your edge slicker is going to melt that wax into the fibers of the leather and make it all bond together. And then you just come back and then touch it back up with your dauber of whatever dye you use. Now, you can use different color variations of that dye, but here's the problem that you're going to get into if you're going to buy different dyed candles. You're not going to actually match up that candle color with the dye color. So you're taking a chance on that unless you know how to coordinate and put colors together. So keep it simple and just get a regular neutral candle. And then you can even buy the candle beads and make your own wax ball. You can do that. You can get a bag of candle beads, melt them into an old pot, and then just cut it down into chunks that you need, and you'll have these for days. I think they sell the bags of candle beads in Walmart for like $2.47. You can get 2 pounds of wax. Literally, it's 2 pounds of the wax beads, and you will have that forever. Now let's go to the next one. The burnishing ink. Tandy used to sell this a long time ago. And I bought this from the Tandy when it was in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And that store is now closed. And you can see, ladies and gentlemen, this 16 ounce bottle is still fairly full, because you only use it on your edges. You only use it on the edges. So, and I dye a lot of stuff brown, and I dye a lot of stuff black. So I bought 2 of these when they was discontinued there. Now, you can't buy them from Tandy anymore, but you can go onto Amazon and you can buy these. And this bottle right here will run you anywhere, depending on the person who's selling it. This bottle will run you anywhere from $11.99 up to $13.99. So if this is just a quick, efficient way of doing it where you don't have to worry about the color, getting the color matched right, and you can use a good old wool dauber to daub that edge on. Now, I would suggest using the wool dauber, not with the wax ink, because of the simple fact of the overrun. You don't want it to get onto your project. You want it to stay on the edge. Now, I'll probably do a video on that to show you guys exactly how you can apply that with a dauber. But if you're just starting out, take you some scrap pieces and get you a bag of popsicle sticks. A bag of popsicle sticks, you can just dip that down in there, clean off one side of that stick, and then just use the other side and just run that down your pieces. Now, with the wax ink, you want it to dry a little bit before you start to use your edge slicker and burnish that in, because again, you don't want to take a chance on the ink overrunning onto your project. Which brings me to the third one, the gum trag, which is clear, ladies and gentlemen, but it also works the same way as the wax. Your gum trag, it goes on, it dries clear. You don't have to worry about it getting onto the parts of your project that you were worried about, especially if you've already completed and that's all you have to do is do the edges. So, but it's not colored. You guys can see that it's white. But when it dries clear. So therefore, you still would have to take the ink or your dye and then dye that edge and then come back and apply your gum trag, which can be applied to with a wool dauber. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, I guess overall what this video is trying to say is, I don't believe in getting rid of my good old burnishing ink. I'm not telling you to eliminate that, because this is an all-in-one to me, as opposed to having 1 and 2 or 1 and 2. So to me, if you're going to be a new crafter and you're going to start out in this business and you want to have a keen fire edge finish, I would tell you to work with the Stellars, the Solaris. The Solaris burnishing ink, and there's a wax ink. And what it does, ladies and gentlemen, when you put that right amount of heat and friction on there, now this gives you you got to have some good old elbow